This book came out back in 2005, and with its catchy title, End of Faith, it's a very pessimistic or cynical title, just like End of Jobs, End of the World, or End of Civilization. And with a title like this, Sam Harris has to take ownership of having his views go against religion. It is important not to jump to conclusions and to not put things in black and white, as in religion versus reason, atheists versus the believers. I've read all of Sam Harris's books and will be reviewing all of them at some point. I have watched more than a few of his YouTube videos, mostly him being on Joe Rogan, in which he appeared 3 or 4 times, and the video lasts about 2 or 3 hours each, so I recommend you check that out as well. And who is Sam Harris? Sam Harris is from California. He is the son of Susan Harris, which is surprisingly is the producer for the show The Golden Girls. So he's got a little bit of Hollywood in him. He is an atheist, a neuroscientist, a philosophy major at Stanford University in Northern California, and he has a PhD degree in cognitive neuroscience from University of California, Los Angeles. Obviously, he's an intellectual. What makes him different from all the other intellectuals is he experimented with drugs, primarily MDMA and psychedelics, as well as he's been on trips to India and Nepal where he researched meditation, Buddhism, and learned from Hindu and Buddhist religious teachers. He is a harsh critic toward extremist religions, and he's a person who's considerate in terms of individuals around the world, their well being. It's hard to see that, but once you listen to all his work, he does care about other people. He just comes off as a know it all. He does strawman techniques, which are cheap shots at believers. And when you think of faith, you have to think of confidence and belief and trust. And when you're saying the end of faith, many people confuse that with religion, where you're taking a hit at someone's religious beliefs. They're going to go numb to that. They're not going to listen to you. He just wants people not to be stuck in that blind type of ignorance, to look at things through another point of view, even to look at mysticism or spiritual belief. And in terms of the end of faith, many people have a I know who I am type of faith. They're not going to change their views. And with these beliefs, what Sam Harris trying to convey is these beliefs somewhat have been hammered in to people, and that needs to change. Hence the future of reason. One real dislike of the title is I would always prefer to be an optimist, not be a nihilist, so it does have a distastefulness to it, and it is a bitter pill to swallow. Here's a list of some conflicts you'll find: faith versus truth, nature versus nurture, religion versus spirituality, non-believers and atheists versus the moderates and versus the religious. Homo sapiens are not like chimpanzees or monkeys or apes or hyenas. They can cooperate and build big things, unlike the latter. Look at what they've built: the pyramids, New York City, smartphones, and the simple washing machine that you take for granted. Is that we may be building a civilization of ignorance. And all you need is ignorance and confidence, and success is inevitable. And just like money is one of the greatest stories ever created, if you read The Sapiens by Yuval Harari, that stories are powerful, and the Quran and Bible are very well written, and wisdom is not to be ignored. However, beliefs and repetition can brainwash, much like a zombie, but a zombie is to be respected. And beliefs can take you far, as in positive affirmations and mantras. Perhaps we should be blind to reason. Here are some criticisms of religion. With the freedom of speech, especially in the United States, that you could say what you want. It is okay to criticize. It is Sam Harris's right. One thing is you get these tribes of people and there are sectarian beliefs. These actions can conflict with each other. Instead of understanding, there's conflicts and tension. And one thing that Sam Harris explains, how suicide bombers rationalize their death. How they think they're doing a good thing by being a martyr, and it's being celebrated. It's hard to think about what it is they're getting out of this, because they're killing themselves to kill other people and to scare people. And Sam Harris does some straw man attempts where he always says they want to go to paradise. They're killing for going to paradise to get their 72 virgins. And this isn't to pick on just Islamic related religions, because there's other religions that have done this too. But it is hard to understand that, it's very complex to understand that. And one thing that religion also does is, I know this is in the Catholic or Christian faith, is that they have heaven or hell arguments. If you do this, then you go to heaven. If you do that, then you go to hell. It's based on sin, and some of these commandments and rules, it's too rigid. It's not supposed to be in a black and white thinking. These arguments can be dissected into either praise or punishment. Like I just said, is in black and white thinking. It could be infidels, believers, or infidelity. And infidelity is a sin. That the rules are tight and strict. And what Sam Harris expresses is to consider reason, not just denial, to consider spirituality, and to consider ethics, and not seeing belief as a religious dogma. Some of the new things I learned that Sam Harris expresses is the importance of free speech and the right to criticize, the right to really express yourself. There are plenty of religions that you can explore. I do not know much about Islam or Hindu. I have traveled over to Asia, but I've not been to the Middle East. So that is something that I need to explore. Some things I learned or, I need to look into are if people are misled and led astray from Islam, it is a capital offense. And that there's fanaticism, there is justifying cruelty in scriptures. Also that beliefs can be mad, psychotic, or delusional, not just being positive or spiritual. Is that you can terrorize with no reason, as you can see in the title. You can be irrational and intolerant, and that is taboo to criticize extremists. And this is one highlight of Sam Harris, is he puts himself out there to criticize pretty much all religions. Not so much the religion itself, he deals with a lot of flack, but his right to criticize extremists. And extremists can have wild views. Also, he brings back a time when there were witches, and he brings the things about cats. So what I thought about is, if a lady's crazy, she's not a witch. She's just a modern day crazy cat lady. She's not crazy. She's not a witch. She's just a crazy cat lady. In terms of Japan or countries like this, is pacifism is not a virtue. And science has made so many advances over the years with big data, with sharing technology, with the internet, that we are able to share ideas to further the planet's growth as well as human domination of the planet. And there is a biological element. Some people ignore, feminists ignore, religion ignores, and schools ignore. That we can't be stuck in a denial state of ignorance. This is unique about Sam Harris. He is from California, and California tends to have a liberal policy toward ideas. He's been to both Northern California and Southern California, which are different areas. Since he grew up in a Hollywood type of home, he came up to Northern California to major in philosophy. And then after that, he was doing drugs with MDMA, which gave him insights. Many scientists are ignorant to these type of insights and findings. They're not willing to take the risk. They think they know it all, and they're just considering logic and rationality or old school philosophy. Whereas Sam Harris is pioneering, traveling to India to understand Hinduism and all its religious teachings, as well as Buddhism. And he does give Buddhism a break. I've been to Thailand, and it does make a mark on you, as in this type of mindfulness. And in terms of meditation, it is something that is growing around the world. It's already really popular out in California. It is not going to ever be popular in New York City. Just too much noise. Or London. However, it says something about him that he's willing to take risks. And that shows character. And he's not just interested in the Western type of thinking. He's looking at a holistic approach, even though he's pushing reason. And he gives mysticism a break, as well as we have to recognize extremists or denial or extreme ignorance or having fanatic delusions. In high school, they have the delusional cheerleader, I always remembered as. They're lost in their own mind. They have no fucking clue what's going on. They're just cheering for the team. Even if it's the wrong team, they're cheering for the wrong fucking team. And in terms of the Western, I like this quote. It sounds like this is, on spiritual terms, we have been standing on the shoulders of dwarfs. That he is on the forefront of going into the Eastern ways in terms of consciousness, meditation, on insights and enlightenment. And not to be stuck thinking and stuck in your head. Getting out there and exploring. I will be reviewing all his books. I've read all his books, and they're all good. They are very unique. There is a sequel to this book I'm going to review right after, is the Letter to the Christian Nation, which is a retaliation because he got a ton of flack for not attacking but criticizing faith. And he did this on purpose. This is kind of like his first attempt at pushing science toward well-being. You can also watch all his Joe Rogan videos. It took like 10 hours to watch it, so it is quite a long time. He was on the show for like 4 times, and they talked for like 4 hours. And they were very insightful in terms of drugs and spirituality and fighting. Sam Harris does do Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. In closing, I wanted to really recommend this book. The title is very pessimistic and cynical, but that is really his clickbait. And I think and it is important to recognize stories, the importance of raising spirits, not to be caught in the trap of the truth in terms of reasons, even if the truth is nasty. A little bit of ignorance helps you survive. It's easier on the mind. The best way to reach people for me is to use stories. Stories can challenge you while connecting with you and adding value at the same time. We're all beginners. In terms of this atheist movement that he's a part of, is that it is tough to push that forward because you don't want to be caught into nihilism, into a downward spiral. And in terms of religion, sometimes people jump around to different religions. Just like a relationship, is that the beliefs, someone has to be replaced with something. And this something cannot be negative. It has to be something positive. And if I had a choice between being a non-believer and believer, I would choose to be a believer, to have faith. If all you do is choose blind reason, you can become Voltaire's bastard. And there's more to come on that. Also, check out my other videos on Sam Harris, as well as I'll be making some on David Buss and Steven Pinker.